Uh, Hello everyone and a warm greetings from National Institute for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises. Myself, I am Swapna, working as an associate faculty member in School of Enterprise Management, and I am also heading the Center Intellectual Property Facilitation Center, sponsored under Ministry of MSME under the scheme IPR scheme. And today we are conducting this webinar, Trademark Management for Promoting SME Products in Digital Area, sponsored by MSME DI Hyderabad. A very warm welcome to all of you and the speakers, today's speakers, Mr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy and Mr. Tushar from Mike Legal, and also the official from MSME DI, Mr. Gulshan Best, Assistant Director, MSME Hyderabad. As we all know that our Prime Minister is urging everyone to go for, has made a campaign that Voice for Local, and this IP plays a very important role in promoting the Indian brands and particularly the trademarks, which is very much helpful for protecting the Indian brands. So with this objective, we are conducting a series of webinars on intellectual property rights, and this is the second webinar that we are conducting on trademark management for promoting SME products in digital area. The main objective of this program is to provide the SMEs the practical advice on how to protect their trademark in India and how to choose a brand name and what are the requirements for registration and also the registration procedures. We will also discuss some of the case studies, and at the end we will be also sharing some of the information regarding the MSME schemes, particularly the schemes that are related for IPR registration. There is a reimbursement scheme, so we will be discussing the schemes also. And today we have three speakers, Mr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, IP advocate, and Mr. Tushar Bhargava, legal officer from Mike Legal, and Mr. Gulshan Best, assistant director from MSME DI Hyderabad. Let me introduce the first speaker. He's IP, Mr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy is an IP advocate, and he has a lot of experience in the IP field, particularly more than 15 years of experience. And he was also working closely with NIMSME in organizing some of the programs, and he also provided the consultancy for many of the startups and MSMEs. Basically, he is BTech from Usmania University and MSc in Food Science from Agriculture University, and he has completed recently the LLB, and also he enrolled in State Bar Council of Telangana and IP attorney from Hyderabad. He is working as a IP practitioner, particularly in patents and trademarks. He also facilitated many startups for IP registrations. He has a very good expertise too. So today he will be discussing about the importance of trademarks and how to choose the brands and what are the various forms of trademarks. And he will also discuss the requirements and also the registration procedures for trademark registration. So now I request Mr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy to take over and discuss on this particular topic. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, Swapna ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much for giving brief introduction of mine and the objectives of the session. And as she was telling, my name is Vijay Bhaskar Reddy. You can call me Vijay. And without wasting much time, let's go into the topic, and you can note down the questions, and maybe at the end we'll have question and answer session where I can help you all the queries. and I share the presentation. Just a minute. Let me, yeah. So I'll go into the presentation mode. So hope the screen is visible, right?
Yeah, is it? Yes, sir. It's visible.
Visible.
Yeah. So let's go into the today's topic: trademark management for promoting SME products in digital era. So before going to digital era trademark management, first let's try to understand what is a trademark as per the legal definition. So in India, we have Trademarks Act 1999, which oversees all the trademarks related activities in India. So the definition as per Trademark Act 1999 is: trademark means a mark capable of being represented graphically and which is capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one person from those of others and may include shape of goods, their packaging and combination of colors. So which means it includes a device, brand, heading, label, ticket, name, signature, word, letter, numeral, shape of goods, packaging, or a combination of colors or any combination thereof. So the definition itself is very wide. So it can be a device without any symbols. It can be a brand name like anything, Dell, Infosys, Samsung, iPhone, label, just the Apple cut symbol or the Nike symbol or the Audi symbol kind of thing. Ticket, name, signature, even your own name, you can get it registered as a trademark if it is so unique. So the word, letters, numerals, so whatever it is there, like which can is, the only thing is it should be distinctive and it should be capable of differentiating from others. So that is the main criteria which we will see it. So trademark means it is a mark, any what we call is a mark, any mark capable of being represented graphically. That means it should be expressed on a paper. Exceptions are the color combinations or the exceptions are the sound combinations and the smell combinations, but normally it should be represented graphically. I will explain you in the following slides about the details. So based upon that one, what we can say, it is a distinctive sign that identifies certain goods or services as those produced or provided by a specific region or enterprise. So that means it is a distinctive sign. So the Dell we are using, for the phone Samsung we are using. So that indicates that the manufacturer is a well-known person and we generally rely without knowing much about that product. It could be a food item or a consumer item or any automobile like Audi or Benz symbol or anything. So just looking at the brand name, we think that it is a genuine product and it is sold by the original owner and we tend to buy. If there is any offer or anything on the online or offline, so if there is any offer for the products from Dell or Samsung or any other reputed manufacturers, will try to buy. But if there is any offer, even though for 50-60%, but if that manufacturer or that brand name is not known, generally we do not go for it because we know that there is a possibility that it may be damaged very soon because we do not know much about the manufacturer. I got a message, want the chat message, let me have a look at it. So I'll not be looking at the chat message, Swapna ma'am, just have a look at it and if there is anything, you can just interrupt me. And as I said earlier, it can be a combination of words, letters and numerals. And the main advantage, as we are all into business, so as a business entity, it helps consumers identify and purchase a product or service because its nature and quality indicated by its unique trademark meet their needs. Why people go for a Cadbury chocolate? Because it is a trusted name. And for example, if you remove the same chocolate and wrap it in another, maybe as a ABC chocolate, maybe no one will buy the same chocolate because we are getting the brand name. The customer is getting attracted because of the name, because that name has much value in the market, because we know that one big brands take enough care of their products, enough about their distribution, about the quality of the product, and if there is any defect, they know how to rectify it, or to return, or because the name itself indicates everything. So that's the reason why the companies try to protect trademarks in a very, very big way, and they're spending a lot of amounts on trademarks. That is for the well-established brand. But what for us? What for a new entities who are just want to enter into business? So that we'll see it in the following slides. And one thing to note is the term of registration of trademark is 10 years. So initially it is 10 years and then it can be renewed for every period of 10 years. So that means once you get mark registered, you will get the registration certificate with the date of filing on it and with the date of registration, and the date of registration is valid for 10 years from the date of filing, and thereafter you can renew as for every 10-year period. And as already indicated, the legislation behind the trademarks in India is the Trademarks Act 1999. And why as a retailer, as a startup entity, why I should go for trademark now itself? Maybe why not after 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, or why not after the brand becomes famous? So these are some of the common questions that any new service provider or goods seller will get into mind. But believe me, trademark is very, very important for the business. And here are some of the statements that I have prepared it. The retailers often overlook the protection of one of the key assets, that is the brand, not willing to register their one. Then what happens is that our natural feeling is that my brand is very new. Why should I protect now? Why should I spend amount on it? Maybe what happens if it is objected, or how should I proceed if there is any kind of objections, or what should I do if the products are not selling well in the market, and at the moment I do not have money to spend on this. These are the very common questions, but it is very, very essential to go for registration in spite of all the odds that are existing for the business, because I'll tell you how some of the cases have dealt and how the business was ruined because the trademark was not renewed or not maintained properly. So here I'm talking about two things. One is about registration, renewal and maintenance. All of them are very, very important to protect your brand in the market. Trademark registration is an effective and economic way of ensuring your brand is protected. It is one of the cheapest and best ways to protect your brand from counterfeits or fake goods or whatever the name you call. So by doing registration, what happens? Registration provides a safeguard against the third-party infringement and often acts as an effective deterrent against third parties considering or contemplating infringement. Nowadays, because of the digital management or the online sales, so it is very easy to sell the goods and to buy the goods online without knowing the customer, without knowing the seller. So people are buying and selling the goods only through the internet. So in these type of things, it's very, very essential to get the brand name registered. So what happens if I do not register? Failure to protect brand may reduce its value and could damage your business reputation. Because whatever, how the trademark infringers will choose the brands, they will see whether the brand is registered or not, or whether there are proper steps being taken by that applicant or the company or the owner. So if there are any proper steps, then they'll try to, okay, oh, no. If you do something, then they may file case, or they may go for arrest, or they may file any suits in courts or something. The infringers will get deterred because the trademark owner is very strong and he has taken all the legal steps to protect the brand. And what happens if there is not protected? There is a limited protection through the law of passing off. So the law says that even though the brand is not protected, but he is eligible for certain kind of protection. But that is limited when compared to the registered trademark. So in effect, trademark registration is a must for all the businesses, whether it could be selling goods or selling services. And I'm a small player, maybe I want to start after some time. Should I go now? Or because I do not have company incorporation, can I go for a trademark? So here is the answer. An application for registration of a trademark in India may be made by any person claiming to be the proprietor owner of a mark for those goods and services for which he is using or intends to use the mark. So the applicant can be anyone, he can be any person. So at the time of filing the application, the proprietor must have the intention to use the mark, because the government is giving the right to use the mark for you because you have to use it. So here we have two categories at the time of filing trademark. One category is proposed to be used. So because you want to enter into a business after a certain period of time. In that case, we click it as a proposed to be used. And if the applicant is already using the mark, then what we'll do is we'll click it as a already in use, and we'll provide the affidavit about the usage of that mark. So here in two ways we can file the trademark. One is as a proposed to be used or as a already in use. So those who are already using the mark try to protect the trademark. And what happens once I file it? So once I've maybe without proper trademark search or without any knowledge, I have filed a trademark application. Then what happens? It will be examined by the trademark registry. Oh, and they'll give certain kinds of objections. So the objections are mainly like section 9 objections and section 11 objections. So if you look at section 9 objections, simply say the report indicates that your trademark is objected as per section 9(1)(a) or 9(1)(b), something like this. So you should know what is this section 9 and what is this subsection 1 and clause A and clause B, those things. So for your better understanding, I have put a slide for this one. So section 9 deals with absolute grounds for refusal of registration. So you have applied for a registration, but what happened? They have cited objections under section 9. So what does it mean? Let's see. So according to section 9 subsection 1 and clause A, the trademarks which are devoid of any distinctive character, that is to say, not capable of distinguishing the goods or services of one person from those of another person. So just if I put any rectangle or square or any circle without anything, just a plain symbol kind of thing, then there is no distinctiveness, because the circle rectangle doesn't represent anything, only as such. So that means there should be some color combination or definitive font, color, the thickness, everything. So it should make as a distinctive. So in the sense, it should be like a unique. It should, the mark should appear as a unique. And second most thing is, as per section 9 and subsection 1 and clause B, the trademarks which consist exclusively of marks or indications which may serve in trade to designate the kind, quality, quantity and intended purpose. So mainly kind and quality. Let's say if I put for everything good, best, better, so many things as because they indicate the quality of the good, and quantity kg or maybe something like numbers. So there may be a problem like 1 kg if you want to sell some biscuits or anything, and if I want to mark if I apply a trademark for 1 kg, 2 kg, 5 kg, you will not get it because it indicates already quantity. The items are measured in kgs, and you are putting a term which is like quantity itself. Then if they give trademark, so what happens? Then no one can use that 5 kg or 1 kg or 100 grams. Or if they give trademark for good, better, best, or aroma, tasty, all those things. So that means once you get registration, you block others from using those general description of any food items or any other quality of the items. So that's the reason why. So they will be objected under section 9(1)(b). So and there are other objections as well. So these are the objections under section 9. So some other objections. So also other thing is made according to subsection 2, a mark shall not be registered as a trademark if it is use of such nature as to deceive the public or cause confusion. So if your main intention is to deceive, and because that is reflected in the trademark itself, then the trademark registry says that it is objected under section 9(2). And also according to section 9(2)(b), if it contains or comprises any matter likely to hurt the religious sentiments of any people, so then it will not be given. Like for example, there was one row, like there was one foreign company or footwear company which was publishing the idols or the gods images on the chapel. because I do not know whether they have done wantedly or unwantedly. Because again, the government of India represented and asked them to remove these things. Had it been India, they would have taken directly action against them for hurting the sentiment, of religious sentiments. And if it comprises or a scandalous or obscene matter, even in that case as well, the trademark registry can refuse. And more important thing is, if it's used as a prohibited under the Emblems and Names Act 1950. So that means India, Bharat, or maybe the flag or such, because they are not as a mark for, they are not for trademark for anyone, because they are protected under the Emblems and Names Act of the Prevention of Improper Use Act 1950. That means they belong to Government of India and no one can use it. So I want, and after dealing section 11, I want to make certain points here as well. So section 12 is a very simple one, honest and concurrent use. So here what happens is honest and concurrent use, the name itself indicates. Like earlier, so when there was offline filing, so people might have registered from for trademarks maybe in different locations. A person doing in South India may not be knowing about the western part, Kolkata doing somewhere similar name, maybe somewhere like if you want to choose like maybe like Haldiram's kind of thing. Maybe Haldiram was, let's say they are doing the business in, no, let's say near to Kolkata and they have filed, but there could be another person in the South India without knowing about that one, maybe like HALDY, Haldira or Haldirams or something like that, very similar name, and they would have got registration earlier. That was a case of honest concurrent use. But nowadays, because of digital online search, everyone can conduct a search and he can ascertain what are the various marks by using which are very similar to this. So that means a person can conduct a trademark search on the trademark office website and he can ascertain whether it is really distinctive or not. Yeah, whether it is really invented word or coined word or not. So that, so earlier you used to get registration for honest and concurrent use, but nowadays I think it's very, very limited because everyone can do the search. And there is also section 11, so which I think got missed. So where it says about the trademarks which are of already existing marks. For example, if you take the case of Haldirams and I put it as a new trademark as a Haldira, so that means I have taken few words, few letters from the Haldirams, and what I have done, I have developed into a new logo kind of thing. And where I am saying is my product name is, my brand name is Haldiram. So in that case, we will get objections under section 11 objections. So that means section 11 deals with the objections related to similar trademarks, or what we call as a cited trademarks. Then what is advantage for as a business entity? As a business entity, so I should have some tangible benefits by filing trademarks. Let's see what are there. So trademark can create and increase goodwill for the business. So in the business, you are going to provide either goods or services, and most of the times that the consumer is going to buy your good more than one time. If it is like food products or maybe other consumer items, there is a likelihood that he buys maybe once in a week or daily. If you take milk, chocolates, biscuits, or more than once in a day itself. So because that you want to attract the customer, how do you connect? Because trademark is a connecting tool between the manufacturer and the end consumer. So only by looking at the brand he is going to buy, whether it is in online, offline, whether it is a big mall or any roadside shop, he is going to look at the brand and he says, yes, I know this brand, how does the quality look like, and I like this, and he is going to buy. So that means it is a very, very important for the brand owner to get connected with the customers and to retain them. So because you want a business, you want customers, how do you get the repeat customers? Only by the brand name. Positive image remains in the memory of consumers. So if you have a very good brand name, you know that one. Okay, once you bought without knowing or with knowing, and you felt that yes, this was worth for that price. And second time, if there is any brand of that good or anything, then you definitely are going to buy. Because why? It has created a positive image in your mind and you are going to buy. And consumers are likely to be selected or desired again. Similarly, demand also naturally repeats. Like if you like one brand, and you definitely will go for it. If it is not available, then only you go for alternative brand. Whether it be in the same city or if you go to a different city, the brand you choose maybe chocolates, biscuits, or some pens, pencils, maybe phones, or whatever it is, they may not be available. For the first thing is you want to choose in the supermarket or wherever it is. If it is not available, you'll try to ask the store that I want this bag. If they say that it is not available in the entire city or something, then only you go for the second brand or alternative brands. So that means there is an impression created in the minds of the customer that yes, I want to go behind this brand. And because of which market share may be increased or maintained so long as the good reputation of the trademark is maintained. So because what happens is that there is a very good growth or the demand for these branded products. So branded products are nothing but the registered trademarks, so which are maintained well. So those are nothing but branded. So branded product means any brand that is registered as a trademark as per the even for all the tax calculation and other things. So it branded means any good or service or the mark which is registered under Trademarks Act 1999. Coming to the e-filing of trademarks. So how you can file a trademark? By either three ways. One is offline mode. You can submit the trademark application to the trademark registry, or the direct mode through the counter at the trademark offices in all the metros and the Ahmedabad, and e-filing. So out of the three, e-filing is the best mode to file the trademarks. So e-filing as an enterprise, you can get a login ID and password, or you can take the services of trademark agents, trademark attorneys like me. So if you want a trademark, you can take the help of me and to file a trademark. So here, how does it look like? So there are various things in this one. In the tool, is maybe for a newcomer, it will be very difficult to file on their own, and many people, they make mistakes because they do not know where to click the radio button. And if you make a mistake, that the trademark registration process gets delayed, and sometimes you can make corrections by paying certain fee. Even to make any correction, the minimum fee is rupees 900. You have to file a TMM and you have to pay the fee. So for this, take the expertise help, but just I wanted to show how the e-filing portal looks for your understanding. So first one is a trademarks application. So for 90% of the things, like it is a trademark application, you have to click on this radio button. And before to this, so the type of applicant is also very, very important. So based upon the type of applicant, whether it is individual or sole proprietor, or a startup, or a small enterprise, or others. So for individual startups and a small enterprise, there is a fee concession. So instead of 9,000 per class, it will be 4,500, and for others, it will be 9,000. However, I believe that the pricing will be taken in the following session, so I do not go into this one. And there are various types of trademarks, like a normal ordinary trademark, or as a convention application. Convention application means that a trademark application is already filed in one country and they want to enter into India. So in that case, it becomes a convention application. For example, an applicant is there who has already registered a trademark in United States and he wants to file the same thing with a priority date within 6 months. So in that case, it becomes a convention application. And if he is not able to file on time, and maybe after 1 year or 2 years, then it becomes a normal trademark application. So that is the difference between the convention application and the trademark application. And there is a multi-class. So that means I want to file a trademark for various goods. It could be maybe for a watch, for a mouse, and maybe for books, and maybe for certain services. So in this case, so the goods are falling into various trademark classes. But is it possible to file a multi-class? Yes. The fee has to be paid for all the classes. So the sum of all individual classes, the fee has to be paid it. And what is the advantage? The advantage is that by filing a single trademark application, you may get the trademark certificate for all the classes. Here some others as well speaking, maybe Praveen 55prem@gmail.com, I think. Please do not interrupt Mr. Praveen. Please mute yourself. Yeah. So coming to the trademark classes, the next thing is multi-class that we have seen it, and a series mark or in a class or a multi-class. So series marks means generally like let's say there is one product called as a ABC20 or Mac 20, Mac 30, Mac 50, Mac 100, this kind of things. So that means we are using the name as a series. So we have developed one series, maybe as a for McDonald's Mac kind of thing, Mac 20, Mac 20, Mac 30, something. Or even in medicines, it normally happens like ABC 50 mg, ABC 50, ABC 100, ABC 200. So that mark, and they are putting some numbers adjacent to it, and they are providing as a series mark. So those are series marks. And now coming to collective marks. Collective marks are those marks like which are used by the societies or any other thing which everyone can use it. And certification marks, so those are mainly used by ISI or maybe some other government units like AgMark. So it is a certification mark. Only they are empowered to get the trademark for them, and only they can give the license for its users to use it, that mark. Hallmark, ISI mark, all these things under certification mark, and other things are a kind of repetition of the types of marks. So there are various types of trademark applications in India that can be filed, and there are various kinds of applicants, and depending upon the type of applicant, the fee ranges. And we need to give the complete details of the applicant. So as a proprietor, what we call in the trademark language, so we need to add as a proprietor along with his address, type of firm, email ID, phone number, and what is the legal status, whether it is a natural, whether he is a natural person or it is a MSME entity or any private limited or public limited company. So those information has to be provided. Sorry. And the category of mark. So here we have various types of marks. So I think, did I provide? Yeah. So the category of mark is a very important one. So what kind of categories we have? So here we have as a word mark mostly, or as a color mark, a device mark, shape of the goods, sound mark, and three-dimensional words. So mostly we'll go with either word mark or as a device mark. So device mark means the logo marks with or without any letters. So word mark means just like DELL as a Dell. So that is a word mark. Dell written in that stylish font is a logo mark. So that is the difference. And the odd symbol, Benz symbol without any letters, those are also part of device marks. So 90 to 95% of the trademarks applied will fall under either as word marks or as a device marks. And can I file both? Yes, you can file both. Only thing is you have to pay the fee. And can I file by changing the colors a little bit font? Yes, you can also file a separate trademark. There's a reason why most of the like if you drink Pepsi, Coca-Cola, so for every season they try to change a little bit the logo style and other things, because to attract the customers. For every time they'll file a new trademark and they'll try to associate. So that means they'll try to associate the earlier brand to the new brand. So otherwise the trademark registry will say there is already a trademark with this one, how can I give? Because they will not check whether it was filed by you or not. It is your duty to inform to the trademark registry, sir, already I have filed a trademark and now I want to associate the new mark with the old one. Then in that case, this will be exempted during the examination, and you will get the registration very easily. And as I indicated already, so here we have the proposed to be used and the already in use. So here we have to check one box, and this is about the class. So for which class are you applying, and what are the goods and services that you intend to provide under the trademark with the brand name. So here you have to enter all these details, So put the details. Then it goes for the trademark registry for the like first there will be formalities check pass. Once it is a formality check pass, it turn to marked for exam. After the marked for exam, so once examination is done, it will be either accepted or objected. If it is accepted, then it will be in that status for about 4 months. So in that period, if there is no notice of opposition, the trademark will be registered. If there is any notice of opposition, the status will turn to opposed, trademark opposed. And you have to file a counter statement for the notice of opposition. You have to submit the evidences. You have to attend the hearings. And if the judgment is in favor of the applicant of the trademark, then it will be registered. If the judgment at the trademark registry is in favor of the opponent, then it will be refused as a trademark. Yeah. And once in the first stage itself, if the trademark is objected, then what we have to do? We have to provide the reply within 1 month. What happens if I do not provide within 1 month? It will not take further any reply, and it will turn to abandon over the period of time. That means the trademark is lapsed. Yeah? So these are some of the examples of trademarks like Britannia. Here they try to protect in so many ways. Like one is here what we are seeing is the Britannia Eat Healthy Think Better. It is one device mark. There could be n number of trademarks for Britannia. One is at a word mark, just as a logo without any Eat Healthy and Think Better, without this leaf. So they'll try to protect in maximum number of ways, so as to like by doing so they are giving consumers like attractive style or attractive forms. And the other thing is they are also sending stern messages to all the counterfeiters. Boss, do not go for it. This is a registered trademark, and we are trying to protect in all the possible manners. So yeah. And if you are a competitor, then what happens with the trademarks? So it is also important to be attentive to the activities of your competitors, because the trademark registry gives a granted registered trademark, but it will not make you enforce on its own. So you have to take care of whether your brand is used in the intended way or unintended way by the competitors or infringers. And if you keep quiet, then it is a loss for you. And over the period of time, you cannot claim the rights on your own brand. So it is very, very important to see that the due diligence has to be conducted on the trademarks that you are owning. And if you come across any counterfeit products, then you have to report to the authorities. It could be by sending a legal notice. It could be by filing civil and criminal cases against the infringers and getting raids done, or filing suits in the court of law. So that there are various remedies. So you have to choose one or more of the remedies that you want to protect the brand. So what happens if I do not take any action against the infringers? Then the trademark becomes a generic. What does it mean by generic? Anyone can use it. So genericide is the term used to describe the death of a trademark that results from the brand name becoming the name of the object itself. So here are some of the examples, like very good examples I already have given in some of the earlier presentations as well. Kerosene is not a generic name initially. So that means it was registered as a trademark. Then what happened? So he was for this what you call hydrocarbon liquid paraffin. So that is a technical name. For that they wanted to brand under the name of kerosene. So the name was so big, and the inventor of that mark or the applicant of that mark, so they did not take enough steps. And over the period, everyone was calling all the hydrocarbon liquid paraffins as a kerosene. So that means it lost its importance. So people were not able to differentiate. So they thought everyone hydrocarbon liquid paraffin as every hydrocarbon liquid paraffin as a kerosene itself. And generally what happens, the matter goes to court, and the court will say, now we cannot give you any protection because you have kept quiet for so many years, and everyone is now associating that technical name to the brand name. Then it is a problem for the brand owner. Over the period, the kerosene lost its distinctiveness. So because in the initial sentences, someone is asking any recent cases. So recent case, yeah, very good one. So let's go to Thermos Google. So because what happens for the search engine, everyone was saying that Googling or Google. So because actually this the technical word is internet search. So you have to say say you conduct internet search, and people were calling it as Google search. Whether you are using the Google interface or any other interface, people are calling as a Google search. And Google was like a generic name. So in that case, they have taken the steps, and there was a case in the US, and after a lot of efforts, it was made that it is not a generic mark. It is a distinctive mark owned by the Google Corporation. And another thing, very interesting example is the Xerox. So what even today, like most of the offices, they say that you have to submit 2 Xerox copies of the original, or you submit Xerox copy only to get something. Like Xerox is very common word used for the photostat copy. Then what happened? So this is a very recent case. Mr. B.V. Elango Himachalapati. So he was running certain shops in Chennai, and he was putting Xerox in front of his photostat copying machines. So slowly, I think it was one shop, but he was having a number of machines, photostat copying machines, maybe 50 to 100, and he was putting very less price, which original Xerox manufacturers could not compete with this guy, because he was using cheaper machines and he was putting the Xerox. So what normally indicates in the minds of customers, Xerox means like a very good quality, you print, you get it. And he was not using that one. So Xerox filed a case against this guy, B.V. Elango Himachalapati. Then what happened? He said that, sir, nowadays you call anyone, Xerox means like any photostat. So photostat copying is nothing but Xerox, Xeroxing is nothing but photostat copying. So there was a big case in the Madras High Court. At the end, Xerox, it was very difficult. It was at the verge. So somehow, being the brand owners, and maybe the court was a little bit positive on the brand owners, and with a very great difficulty, they could prove that Xerox is a distinctive mark. Otherwise they would have lost, and by this time it would have become a generic mark. So that is very important to maintain your brand. See that it is so Xerox. What happens, like if it is you put for Xerox machine, then Xerox is getting money, because someone has bought a Xerox machine and is doing photostat copies on a Xerox machine, that is fine. But if he is using other machines like maybe Canon, HP and other machines, and he is putting Xerox, so where is Xerox getting money? No, it is losing his reputation, and people will think that okay, Xerox means for any kind of photostat copying, it's called as a Xerox. So Xerox had spent a lot of time and money by giving ads in the newspaper saying that Xerox means photocopying, by sending circulars to so many government departments not to use the word Xerox, because because it was on the verge of getting generic. So it has spent a lot of time, efforts, and with a very great effort, it maintained distinctiveness. And thereafter, they are giving regular advertisements, and they are promoting as a brand. So that means whenever you are doing advertisement, you have to put very clearly, if your mark is registered, you have to put that encircled R, which indicates that it is a registered trademark. So if you have very good brand, so try to protect it, because it is a positive goodwill. So anyone will think if you put R, then people will think, yes, it is a registered trademark. So whenever in all presentations, even wherever the website material, wherever you are using, and if the mark is registered, try to put that encircled R at the top. So superscript R. Or if it is applied as a trademark, try to put TM. TM means pending for registration, applied for registration. R means a registered trademark. So this is about that one. Sorry. And regarding the market value, so believe me, trademark is very big asset than any other assets for any particular company. So the single largest source of intangible value in a company is its trademark. For example, how do you brand Nestle, Coca-Cola, Google, Samsung, iPhone? Because the brand has that much value. So that means just because of that logo, the trademark and associated all the trademarks put together, they form a substantial value of the company. People may not know where the company is. People may not know who the CEO is. They do not know where that company is operating from, but they know very good trademarks. Like how many of you know Samsung, where its headquarters are, who is the CEO, what are its company? Because we know that one. Yes, Samsung is very good for mobile phones, TVs, and other electronic things. I want to buy it just by looking at the brand. If you are a first-time buyer and you have heard that yes, Samsung is good, without looking at that phone features or anything, if it is in your range, you are going to buy that one, because that is the impact that the trademark is creating impact in the minds of the consumers. Yeah. So that is like if there's an old figure, Google's trademark is worth 44 billion USD. It was an old figure. I think by this time, I do not know what the exact figure is. Like, so 44 billion is only the worth estimated Google's trademark. So 27% of the firm's overall value measured by the market capitalization. So that means more than 25% itself is a value of the trademark. So rest all other things around 75, only trademarks which is intangible. You cannot see the mark, but only thing is yes, you cannot feel. All the intellectual properties come under the category of intangible properties. That means you cannot feel, you cannot touch. Only thing how you can touch, maybe by taking a print of that one, you are able to touch the trademarks. Yeah. So all these things fall under intangible. So trademark is one of the prominent intangible marks. Why? Because it is valid for 10 years and you can extend it. Other forms of intellectual property, so beyond a certain period, so it is not possible to renew that one. But unlike here in trademarks, you can extend it for 50 years, 100 years, 200 years. There are companies which got registration maybe more than 100 years back. So still they are existing, because that is the value of the trademark. And how can I get income just from trademarks? So in the digital era, how can you get the revenues from the trademarks? By assignment of the trademarks, by licensing of the trademarks, and by royalty of the trademark. So it is possible to get it. Assignment means outright sale. So that means I have 100 marks, maybe the company is buying. So whenever one company is sold to another company, they also look at the trademarks and they will put a value for it, and they will also do the trademark proprietor changes from one company to another. So that means you can sell it. In simple terms, assignment means selling of the trademark, like how a person sells one building to another. Similarly, you can also sell one trademark from one person to company or one company to company, whatever the case may be, vice versa, whatever it is possible. So it is possible to sell the trademark. And what about the licensing part? So if you have a company that you are operating maybe only in South India and you want to give that brand name, like maybe Paradise Biryani, Paradise Hotels, you can get a license. You can get a license for your trademark. So there are like so many big brands like schools, Delhi Public School, Eurokids, and other schools, Bachpan. So you can get a license from them. Yeah, there are certain and royalties, which is also kind of on any examples of selling trademarks. Yes, there are trademarks selling. So because that will not come to as a public domain. Even I have facilitated trademarks like and sometimes it happens between some group company to group company, or from individual to a company, or maybe from a company to company. It's normal. What like how you have a sale deed, here also we have assignment deed. You have to give the description of that one, and it is possible. It is a normal thing, not a very great thing. So it is possible, but only thing is for how much price are you buying that trademark? It depends upon the market value, capitalization, how much it's how much is the deep it has penetrated into the market, whether the customers or how much of a loyal customer base it has. Depending on these things, the assignment value ranges from maybe if there are more number of customers, if it is well known, the price goes up. Whereas in licensing, you pay for 2 years, 3 years, something like that. And in royalty is also very similar, where you pay per good, per service, or any other thing. So that means even though any illegal things happen in trademark case, very lot many illegal things happen in the trademarks. So why? Because many times, even in the Amazon or in the Flipkart, there are many cases regarding these trademarks. Because what happens, some people now, earlier now, the Amazon is asking for a trademark registration certificate. Why they have started asking? Earlier, they were selling the goods in the name of, let's say, ABC, something, ABC, in the name of Dell or Apple, because these are very big brands. Amazon definitely will try to object. But there are several hundreds of trademarks which are not well known like Dell, but they have their own customer base. So what happens? People started cheating people started using these fake brands, and they are selling online, because of which Amazon did not do a proper due diligence, and because of which there were cases filed against Amazon too, because Amazon is a marketplace which is allowing by knowing or not knowing, so it is also contributing to the infringement of the registered trademarks. So then people started putting case against Amazon. So now what happens? Amazon asks generally, did you file a trademark? Generally, even just a trademark application they are not accepting. They want the registered trademark certificate. And by looking at the number, the legal team of Amazon is also looking into the website, trademark registry website, whether the applicant names are matching, or whether there is any kind of a malified intention behind selling the goods on the Amazon. So if the intention is bona fide, if the intention is good, Amazon will allow. Or even if they come after if they come to know at a later point of time, they will not allow you. They will delist from the products from the Amazon or any marketplace, online marketplace. It is possible. So it is very, very important to register the trademarks and see that your trademark is used by you only. In the digital era, it is possible, like you do not know, like someone is saying, sir, what are the documents required to register TM? It is very, very simple thing. First thing is you give me a mark and you provide me the basic details of your name, your address, email ID, phone number, and for which goods you want. And the documents required, if you are filing as an individual, it's only one authorization form. It's very simple. Within 1 day, you can complete the trademark filing. Yeah, it's only one authorization form if you are a natural person, and if you are if you are any MSM entity, startup entity, then authorization form plus that recognition, DIPP recognition certificate, MSME recognition certificate like Udyog Aadhaar or Udyam registration form, or any kind of document. Why this document is required? To avail the fee benefit. Otherwise, the fee will be 9,000. If you include the certificate at the time of the submission, then the fee will be 4,500 instead of official fee of 9,000. Yeah, we are coming to near. And yeah, types of licensing as well. In licensing and out licensing. So in licensing means a company, organization, person obtaining permission. So I am taking the license from maybe from a big company. That is in licensing. I have several brands, I am not able to use it, and I want to out license. So that is called as a licensing out. And cross licensing, maybe like I give you some trademarks to you in North India, maybe you allow me to use your trademark in South India. So that is cross licensing. It is possible. So that means the trademark registry is not concerned, but only these two applicants have to come to an understanding what will be the types of licensing. And one other types of licensing model is exclusive licensing and non-exclusive licensing. So exclusive licensing means I have the trademark, maybe 5 to 10 very, very good trademarks, and if I put the name is so catchy that it is going to attract customers. Then what happens? So then a person comes to me, sir, I want to buy. I say, no, I cannot sell, only I can give you a license. Sir, how much? Okay, maybe 1 rupee per product, and you have to give me according to your audit reports. Okay, sir, fine. Then you will ask, sir, are you only giving only to me or to some other persons? I said, I will give it to a number of persons. Then he may say, no, 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 sir, I will give you 2 rupees, but do not give it to anyone. Then it becomes exclusive licensing. No, sir, I am only operating in Telangana. Please see that you do not give it to others in Telangana. Maybe you can give it to Andhra Pradesh, maybe North India, anywhere, it doesn't matter. But see that you do not give it to anyone in Telangana. So that becomes a non-exclusive licenses, because there are so many people using the mark from one IP owner. Yeah, so these are some of the things. Yeah, coming to the conclusion, because we are near to the time of completion. So, as I already said, trademark registration in India is governed by the Trademarks Act 1999. So whatever it is, there is a very simple book, and you can also buy it. Let me see where that is. So in order to get a basic knowledge, and even the trademark registry itself provides a very good information on its website. So here you can, simple book, you can read it, worth keeping it in your libraries for any kind of future references. So all the terms are explained in it nicely. So it's I think is about 250 something. Yeah. So in any law house you can get this book, and you can file trademarks. And management of trademarks. So what do you mean by management? So you should have a clear, okay, I have 10 trademarks. Okay, maybe for verticals kind of thing. Maybe for soaps, pencils, maybe I'll go with this brand. Maybe for food, beverage, I use a different brand. Maybe for services, I use a different brand. So how you are, so that means though you are owner for all the trademark, so you want to classify certain goods with certain things, so that maybe it's easy for you. Okay, how much of business each brand is getting. So if you use a trademark for all the goods, sometimes it may be difficult. And maybe you want to sell maybe pen business to someone. So you can sell that business including the trademarks to that fellow, because the pens business is having a different trademark. Maybe food business is having a different trademark. So Sanket, so what about the whole mark? I did not get what that whole mark. The whole mark, I do not understand what exactly. Maybe yeah, I'll give you I will open the session. Yeah, open. Yeah, dear admin, can you open the session for the question and answers, so that they can get back to me, because I'm not able to read all the chat messages. Yeah, I think please unmute and you can ask me quickly. Yeah.
So can you explain me regarding domain name specifically? So someone has a domain name, what additional protection is required to secure it from a trademark perspective?
So even once you get a trademark, once you registered, maybe you have to apply as a domain name. So that itself, so it is not completely governed by the trademark law. So even there are other things like domain name registration. Like we have to book, because nowadays what happens is like there are so many suits relating to domain name. What happens is like maybe let's say my company name is Roots IP. Maybe rootsip.com is one that I have registered. So maybe there is another person, maybe Roots IP1, Roots IP2, Roots IP3 dot maybe co.uk, co.fr. So it will be very difficult to stop them all. But to the possible extent, you take various stages. You try to buy the domain names in so many things, with so many. Like if you look some companies, they have all the registrations for domain names like .com or co.in, dot something, like whatever the possible extensions are there. Try to buy it. That is one way of protecting. And so you have to remember that a trademark registration is for a specific class. For example, I am selling the goods in the name of pen with some maybe Reynolds, or let's say I am the owner for Reynolds brand for pens. But Reynolds may be also there for engines. Reynolds may be there for laptops. So that means sometimes it will be difficult. Though you have a trademark, so someone who is having Renault's Enterprises or something, and he is manufacturing engines, and it will be difficult on my part to stop that guy because he is also into that business, but for a different products. So then there are certain issues that have to be dealt with. So if possible, try to buy all the domain names at because over the period, yeah, tell me, sir.
So what is the legal recourse? Let's say something is like this is there,
So
and
here we have to, the court sees what is the intention. So if there is any bona fide intention, let's say you are into this business, what is the amount charge for trademark make? Okay, I'll give you that cost. So you can also get back to me on this email ID, kvbreddy9 at the gmail.com. I'll put you in the chat message. Before I forget, I'll give you the answers just a minute
okay,
so that everyone will get.
that would we would like to contact you, sir, if you have additional queries.
Sure, sure. So there will be a professional fee apart from the official fee on this platform. I do not encourage doing business on this platform, but let me give you my ID. So I'll stop sharing and then I'll give you, and we can have a yes. I can give my email ID. So this is my email ID, and this is my phone number, and this is my name. Yeah, so we can get it. So you can write an email to me. I'm also available on LinkedIn, Facebook, anything. Just you can type Vijay Bhaskar Reddy patents and trademark. You can get the profile of me, and you can send me the invitation and other stuff. I'm there.
Okay.
And as this is not the forum for to deal with the business, I'll not be discussing anything about the business part. But what I want to say is, it's easy to get it trademark registration. Any other quick questions? Because already we have crossed the 3:30.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ankit, sir.
Yes, Ankit, tell me.
Sir, my question was that I was asking that is trademark hallmark is included in the trademark, or it is differ from the trademark?
I did not get that whole mark or what exactly you want to.
Sir, hallmark is that
Actually, he's
hallmark
asking about hallmark
Hallmark.
certification mark.
Certification mark. How can it be yours? It is the body that is maintaining the hallmark. They will own and they will give you the right to use that one. Under some conditions will be there. Like how the AgMark will give. AgMark, you have to submit a report to them that I want to produce those agriculture products like ghee and other stuff. I'm following this quality. My fat, FFF free fatty acid is this much. Whether you will get a green mark, red mark, and other things. Looking at the product, they will come and inspect, and they will give you that mark for this.
Sir, no, sir. Hallmark is a 3D diagram, 3D color mark.
You can file it as a trademark if you want. So even 3D, three-dimensional mark can also be filed as a trademark. Is this what you want?
So it is not differ from the trademark. It is the part of the trademark.
Is that one of the types of a trademark? Like how you have a word mark, how you have a logo mark or the device mark. Three-dimensional mark is also another type of word mark, or another type of trademark.
Okay, okay, Vijay. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, particularly on trademarks and briefing about the registrations and the procedures, and also highlighting some of the case studies. Thank you for your time. Now we have one more speaker. He's Mr. Tushar Bhargava. He's a co-founder at Mike Legal, which is Asia's first artificial intelligent legal associate. Prior starting this company, he was working as an IP lawyer, and he also consulted a lot of startups and MSMEs for protecting their brands, and also he also consulted many of the companies business out of it, how to exploit trademarks for their business growth. So I welcome Mr. Tushar Bhargava. Please start the session.
Sure. Thank you, Swapna. Let me share my screen. Before I share my screen, it was a lovely presentation, given by Mr. Vijay. where he basically explained everything related to trademark. So, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir, visible.
Yes, sir. Perfect, perfect. All right. So basically, let me give you a brief about myself. I'm Tushar. I've co-founded Mike Legal, and the entire point of starting the Mike Legal was to provide lawyers and brand owners the way to protect their, intellectual property. So, like Mr. Vijay emphasized on the importance of trademarks, right? Like why one should protect their mark. Right from the way he emphasized on it acts like you're able to protect your marketing skills because you're able to basically protect your reputation so that because people are able to differentiate between what your products are and what other people's products. Moreover, it is an intangible asset, and eventually, as the value increases, you can even use it as collateral to obtain financing from the financial institutes. Then, what happens if you do not register any trademark? Because it's an investment in your brand, as it becomes popular, you need to have to. Uh, is it audible now?
Yes, now it's audible.
Okay, okay. So yeah, so I was saying that why you need to protect it, primarily because it's an investment in your brand. Unless and until you yourself have not invested in it, unless and until you're not taking proper care on it, so that people are able to understand the importance of your brand, they are not able to distinguish it from the other competitors, it is not going to evolve. People remember, your brand with the way you are investing in it, the way you are differentiating with others. Like, when you go to any particular, say, a cold drink store, you ask for a particular Pepsi or a Coca-Cola brand. Like, you know that, okay, because of the distinguishment made by them in terms of the, in terms of branding it, in terms of telling you about it, you're able to, understand that, okay, why 7-Up is different from Mountain Dew or why Pepsi is different from Coca-Cola and so on and so forth. So you need to invest in your brand so that people are able to, know that what you're doing basically. Now, when you should register a trademark, ideally you should be registering it before you're launching it. Primarily because as soon as you start investing in it, it becomes easy for you to, protect it from the day one rather than realizing it's too late for you to protect it and someone has already copied your brand. So whatever hard work that you have done, the goodwill that you have created for that brand, someone else would have stolen that for you. So it's extremely critical that you start from the day one. Now, why you need to manage a trademark? So I'll be primarily speaking about how you can use tools like Mike Legal to basically manage your trademark portfolio and why you need to use those tools or why you need to actively monitor your application. So generally, any application, like when you're filing it till the time you're getting the registration certificate, it takes minimum of 6 months. So that is why it becomes extremely critical for you to stay on top of those applications. So when you're filing the application, it first gets examined by the department and then examiner will basically accept your application or raise an objection. So now if the examiner is raising an objection, you need to file reply in 30 days. Now, when you're manually watching or when you're manually managing your portfolio, you will have to keep checking the status that what is happening with respect to your portfolio, which becomes a very tedious activity. What happens when you're using a tool to automate the entire management process? Basically, the tool notifies you when any action is pending from your end. So first, whenever there is an objection, you get 30-day window to file for a reply. So the system will basically tell you that, okay, this is something that has to be done from your end. Once you file the objection, in that scenario, either the department will basically accept your, your reply that you have filed, or they will ask you for the show cause hearing. So again, this duration, it takes a lot of your time. It's a time-taking, process. Like it ranges from a month to a year even. Sometimes when, the show cause hearing gets scheduled for your particular month. So you have to keep checking for it during that time as well. Or wait for the email, which sometimes get missed out, in the bunch of emails that we receive every day while doing the business. So again, if you're automating your management, the system goes and tells you that, okay, a hearing has been scheduled and this is something that you should need to look at. Now, after the hearing, if again your mark gets accepted, then it gets published in the trademark journal for 4 months. Now, during those 4 months, any third party can oppose on certain grounds. So again, it becomes extremely critical for you to keep an eye whether there is some, whether someone has filed an opposition or not. Because in case someone has opposed your mark, basically you have to file for a counter statement within 60 days. And there are a bunch of processes, compliance related processes, which follows after that, which is again a time bound activity. So, you basically need to stay vigilant about what your applications are. As and when your portfolio increases, it is very important for you to ensure that, your brand basically is able to complete the life cycle, it gets registered. And even when it gets registered, you have to renew it after every 10 years. If you miss out on a renewal and you're still branding, like you're still, using your brand, I mean, you may miss out on, someone else might register that brand. One such case that has happened was, if you're aware about the brand Power, which is owned by Bata. So when they were, because of some internal issues, for reasons known to them, they forgot to renew their brand Power. And someone else filed for that application and got it registered. Now they have to get into a legal dispute to basically get that brand back. Now, everything could have been managed properly if they were vigilant about their application, if they were knowing that what is happening with their portfolio. So, be it, whether you're managing one brand or 1,000, it doesn't really matter because it's your brand. You need to take proper care. You need to ensure that all the deadlines get adhered to. Now, when you're basically managing your trademark, majorly the issues that you follow, majorly the issues that you face are one, huge amount of trademark data to analyze. Even if it's just a single application, you have to day in, day out keep checking on that. Because of the 30-day deadline, at least twice in a month, you need to analyze and ensure that everything is in order. And when you are manually doing it, you're depending on the Excel sheet. By mistake, someone else had, made an error. There can be a horrendous, consequences to that. And so what we have done basically is in my legal, we created an automated dashboard where you can manage your entire portfolio. So on the dashboard itself, you get to know about the number of applications you're managing. You get to know where a reply is pending from your end to the registry. It could be because of the objection. It could be because of the opposition. Whatever it is, the system tells you that, okay, you need to file a reply. And then system also tells you about the upcoming renewal. So whatever renewals that are due in this calendar year or the next calendar year, system is going to tell you and let you decide whether you need to file for the renewal or not. Because at times what happens is during the 10 years, we start using a particular brand, but eventually realize that this particular brand is not getting popular. It makes no sense for us to renew it. So you can choose not to renew it. Alternatively, if you feel that, the brand has become extremely popular, you will be aware that, okay, in next year, I need to file for the renewal application. Even if it is about the hearings, as and when the hearings get scheduled, the system tells you, rather than you looking at it week in, week out, system tells you that you need to do that. Other than that, whatever applications you are managing, you can see all the details with respect to that mark. Right from the classes, the application number, if it is a device mark, if it is a word mark, whatever communication, whatever documents that have been uploaded, everything you're able to identify from the system. So you don't have to manage multiple places or multiple, tools to basically know what is happening with respect to your portfolio. Simply, it's a one-stop shop where you just simply log in, you analyze your portfolio, you understand what is happening, and you can just log out. Other than that, for your internal records, you can create reports, you can filter your entire portfolio using, the filters that we have provided. Even like I was mentioning, that the reason why relying on a tool is important, primarily because it gives you notifications about the developments that is happening, rather than you going out and explaining or understanding what it is happening. So our system basically tells you about the notification. So once in a week, you know that, okay, these are the changes that have taken with respect to my portfolio. It could be if there is any new opposition. if there is any update, if there is any new communication with, given by the department, if there is a renewal that you have filed and that has been taken on record, whether it is about you filing for a reply, whether that has been taken on record or not, if you have sold your mark. So when you sell your particular mark, you basically file for certain documents with respect to the assignment. If the proprietor name has been changed or not, you also get to know about that. So whatever that is happening with respect to your portfolio, you get to understand and you get to know it without you doing anything. Then through the data, you're basically able to understand what your portfolio is doing, in which class you're focusing on. So as your brand starts developing, you might start with a particular class, which is very niche to your business. And then you might try to protect few allied classes as well. Like say, for example, you start in textile industry, which is class 25, like clothing, brands, all that stuff. So you start with class 25. Then you remember that, okay, people have started recognizing my shoes or my t-shirts. Now I can maybe, create something like, what do you say? Say a mask. So you try to register it, under the different class that, masks are getting operated on. So all these things, like, as your business progress, as you realize that people have started recognizing you in a particular domain, your brand, your business expands, your, the offerings also expand. So you're able to see that, in how many classes you have filed an application, what your, on the basis of the status-wise distribution, you also understand that, how your portfolio is doing, or basically how many registered marks you're managing, how many inactive marks are there which are yet to be registered, so that you know which market to segment, or which brand to focus on, where to put in more energy. So since launching in 2017, a lot of corporates with respect to the pharma domain, like right from the Sun Pharma, Ajanta Pharma, Zydus Cadila to telecom, where Airtel is, Reliance Industries, and all these companies are using our product. With respect to lawyers, individual brand owners, even a lot of them are using our product. So one such client we have is Chadda and Chadda, IP attorneys, who are basically based out of Gurgaon. So when they started using our product, they were facing the issue of managing the deadlines, keeping an eye on the activities with respect to their portfolio. And when they were doing it manually, or they were doing it through other means, they were realizing that a lot of their time was getting invested over there. And once they started using our tool, they realized, because now they don't have to actively look out for the changes or with respect to the deadlines, they simply used to open the dashboard, see what is due for today, and just get it over with. So it was able to save them more than 50% of the time that they were spending earlier. So that is the impact that happens when you're using technology to automate these tools or these processes. Now, for you, another problem is, when you basically file for an application, when you start investing in a brand, it is extremely critical for you to ensure that you're able to identify people who are trying to bank on your goodwill, on your hard work. Now, how it works is, there are a bunch of examples like I've shown here in this slide. Brands like Adibas, which is, counterfeit of Adidas. For Dettol, there is Devtol, Purell, Purewell. So all these things, they keep happening. Now, even when you're filing for the trademark, the ultimate aim is that when you have a registered mark, you basically get the exclusive rights on usage of that particular brand. Now, even though you have that exclusive rights, it is extremely critical for you to ensure that whenever a journal gets published, where basically, the department notifies all the people that these are the brands that are about to be registered. So it becomes extremely critical for you to keep an eye on that, so that no one is able to, basically use a similar brand to yours, because otherwise people will get confused to it. So what we have done for that is, we basically analyze the entire journal and tell you that, these are the marks that probably you should look at which are similar to yours. Now, this is a very critical activity because imagine you having invested a lot in a brand. It has, people have started recognizing it. Let's name it, say, Mike Legal. Now, if someone, your Mike Legal is Mikelegal. Now, someone files Mike Liga, Myklega. Now, you being the brand owner, it is very important for you to know that if someone files for a similar mark, the end user might get confused and assume that, okay, this could be the original one. So even though you have put in the hard work to make that brand popular, someone is making money out of using your goodwill or your efforts that you had put in, which you need to stop by opposing those marks. So our tool basically tells you that, okay, in this particular week's journal, these are the marks similar to yours that have been published. And you can basically consult with your attorney that, we want to oppose that mark. So it helps you save that effort or, potential loss of revenue. In our tool, basically, you can see the journal page. And, again, whatever case studies that we did was, helped us analyze the amount of time that people were able to save or amount of, similar brands that they were able to, identify with respect to their existing brand. So we, in case you have any doubts, like if you have any questions, you can ask me here itself. And for the future questions, you can reach out to us, at aditya@mikelegal.com, or you can, share your number, like we have shared this number here, to whom you can contact and see, what you're interested in. Do you have any questions?
Tushar, how much it will cost for a startup? Let's say we are a small startup. So I understand big companies can afford your AI tool, but for a small startup.
No. So it's a myth. Like we, as a company, like being a startup ourselves, we primarily focus on, basically creating that relationship and adding value to whoever is using our product. So for us, rather than your portfolio size, we work on your, on your portfolio size. So it's not, it doesn't really matter whether, you are doing 1 crore of revenue with one brand or you're doing, say, 1,000 crore revenue with 1 lakh brands. For us, what matters is the number of brands. And on the basis of that, we basically, quote you the price and ensure that whatever we are doing it makes sense to you and you're able to get ROI for.
Okay, thank you.
So you can connect with Aditya, here's his number. So you can connect with him, you can, send him a mail, and he'll be more than happy to help you out.
So do you have exclusive access to search APIs, or is it like you are just scraping it?
So we have created an advanced algorithm where we are able to, get the data from the IP.
But it's still scraping, right? There is no API access outright.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone? Great. So I think that is it. Swapna, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Tushar, for highlighting the importance of trademarks and also the how to manage these trademarks. You have shown a tool that helps the companies to manage their trademarks effectively. And thanks for your time and the presentation. Now I request Mr. Gulshan Best, is Assistant Director from MSME DI, for briefing about the MSME schemes, particularly IPR scheme. I request Mr. Gulshan to please discuss on the schemes. I think he will take some time, but if you have any questions, please let us know. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And I'm happy to share that we also have a facilitation center, NIMSME. So we will be also facilitating startups and MSMEs for IP registrations, and we do a lot of trademark registrations also. And we have a reimbursement scheme from Ministry of MSME, where we will be reimbursing these patents, trademarks, and GI registrations. I think the speaker will join in 2-3 minutes, but let me brief about the requirements, and most of you have asked about what are the requirements for trademark registrations. See, we need to have a soft copy of a logo if you are going for a device mark, and if you're going for a word mark, and word mark with some captions, or device mark with the captions, we need to have that. And we have certain classes in trademarks, that is 1 to 45 classes we have. 1 to 35 is a goods class, and from 36 to 45 is a service class. So first we have to identify under which class we have to register our trademark. We only one class, for each class we have to pay the government fee. For multi classes, so we have to pay based on the number of classes. And the government fee for trademark registration is 4,500 for MSME, startup, and an individual. And for other big companies, it is 9,000 rupees. And just we need to have the type of entity. And for MSME registrations, we need to have an Udyam registration. And for startup, if we have the startup recognition, we can also include that as an evidence. And then with these documents, we can file the trademark. I think the speaker from MSME DI, Mr. Gulshan, is already ready. So Mr. Gulshan to please brief about the MSME schemes, and particularly IPR scheme. Thank you.
Thank you, Sapna Madam. Thank you very much. To other speakers, who have presented wonderfully, elaborated on the trademark details on how to do registration, the legalities of it. First of all, good evening to all the participants, and thank you for participating in this webinar organized by MSME Development Institute, supported by NIMSME. And my name is Gulshan Bist. I work as an assistant director at MSME Development Institute, Hyderabad. Our office is at Balnagar Signal, and this is a field office of Ministry of MSME. And first of all, I would like to start with the latest changes in the definition of MSME. What is the meaning of MSME in legal terms? So as per the latest notification, I would like to share screen. Let me just share the screen. Yes. So, new definition of MSME. So, can everyone see the screen which I have shared?
Yes, we can see.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. So now, why government is focusing so much on MSME? because after agriculture, MSME is the second major contributor to. So, and the target of government is to double the GDP, which is currently around $2.5 trillion. Yes, so they want to make it to $5 trillion. So it can be achieved, when the major contributors to the economy, are boosted. So that is why the government is emphasizing on MSME, providing various schemes, support financially, and other department also, various other government department also, they are providing support to MSME. So you can see the contribution. So the registered unit, the figure is around 30 million units. Employment generated is around 70 million. And more than, actually 8,000 products are there. More than 6,000, more than 8,000 products are there, contributing about 45% to the manufacturing output of the country and 40% exports. So from July 1st, 2020, this is the definition of MSME. So initially, the criteria for classification of MSME was only investment in plant and machinery or equipment. Plant and machinery in the case of manufacturing enterprise, equipment in the case of service enterprise. But now there is a composite criteria. They have invoked a clause from MSME Development Act 2006. So you can include turnover also. The turnover is included. And the definition previously was different for manufacturing and services. Now the same applies to both manufacturing and service sector. So investment, if it does not exceed 1 crore and turnover does not exceed 5 crore, it is classified as a micro enterprise. And for small enterprise, the investment in plant and machinery equipment should not exceed 10 crore and turnover does not exceed 50 crore. And for medium enterprise, investment should not exceed 50 crore and turnover should not exceed 250 crore. So this is the composite criteria. So if it falls below this, then you will be classified as MSME. There is a registration process also, that free of cost, online process, hassle-free process. I will tell you shortly the website where you can do the registration. Hello.
Tesselation from the following pattern ante tesselation ante.
So this if so for example so some people have doubt okay, my investment is less than 1 crore but turnover is 15 crore, so whether it will be micro or small. So in that case the higher of the two criteria will be considered. Since the investment is 1 crore but the turnover exceeds 5 crore, it will be classified into small. So that is the criteria for MSME. The registration process, I'll tell you. So let me share another screen and take you to the portal. So just 1 second. So can you see my browser now?
Yes.
So the name for MSME registration, current MSME registration is Udyam Registration. Udyam Registration. So the website URL is udyamregistration.gov.in. But most of the people, they do a search engine based search. Instead of entering into the address bar, they do this search. So in some cases, you get this advertisement by the search engine. Here in this case, it is Microsoft Bing, which is integrated into this browser. So you have to skip this ad results. You have to go to the official website, the URL of which is udyamregistration.gov.in. Over there, it is zero cost and no fee is there. The other portals, are not authorized to do Udyam registration, and .co.in, it doesn't matter. These are third-party portals and they charge fee for this. So you have to go to the official website where it is free of cost, and it is the only portal for Udyam registration. So can you see the portal now? So if you are able to see, you can see this.
Yes, sir.
Yes, this
sir.
thing is running. Beware of fake sites. Yes, it is. This notification is running from right to left. Beware of fake sites. Udyam registration is free of cost and paperless. So no documents need to be uploaded. So there are two categories of Udyam registration. For new entrepreneurs, who have not registered any sort of MSME, or those who have not done Udyog Aadhar, which was the previous MSME registration. So for them, they have to click this one. For those who have already done Udyam registration, Udyog Aadhar memorandum, they can choose this one. So they will be migrated from Udyog Aadhar to Udyam registration. For new entrepreneurs, they can select the first option. So if they select the first option, then this Aadhar verification will open up. So the proprietor or the managing director or the partner of the major partner of the company, they have to put their Aadhar number and name as written in the Aadhar card. So once that is verified by the Aadhar database, then OTP will be sent to the Aadhar registered mobile number. That OTP has to be put over here. So after putting the OTP, that sample form will open up, online form, where you have to fill the details. So there is a sample form for registration with PAN. The company is having PAN, or the proprietor having PAN, they have to do the registration. Then this is the form. So after doing the verification, this will be their second step. You have to select, this is a drop-down option over here. You have to select which type of organization, proprietary, partnership, private limited company, Hindu undivided family, or this all details, all the options are over here. You have to select. Then do you have PAN? You can select yes or no. Post 31st March, next financial year onwards, PAN will be compulsory. You have to provide PAN number over here. And then whether you have filed ITR, yes, you have filed, which one you can put over here. You have GSTN, you have the option to select yes or no. Again, next financial year onwards, it will be compulsory. So you have to validate the PAN. So this option will come. You have to fill the mobile number, email ID. This you can update mobile number, email ID later on also. So this is the information purpose only. If your enterprise falls into OBC category or SC category, ST category, women category, how it can be under this category? If the partnership by share 51% belongs to OBC entrepreneur, more than 50%, 51% minimum belongs to SC entrepreneur. So like that, your enterprise will be classified into that option. So you can select social category. So this social category of the enterprise you can select over here. And person who is filing, he can declare his gender, whether he is specially abled or not. Name he can put. If he has multiple plant, so he can add those names over here. So like ABC Private Limited is having 2 units, ABC Chemical, ABC Petro. So you can put ABC Chemical over here, then add more option. You can add it. And afterwards for ABC Petro, you can select over here, fill the address details, add. So then your address details will be added. So for both the units, you have to add the address details, and then the table, it will come in the table. Then official address of the enterprise you have to put over here. Now it is very important to note over here, the district, whatever you select over here, this is uneditable. Once you have registered it, you cannot change the district. And then date of incorporation or registration initially, this could be your incorporation date or GST registration date. So you have to put over here, and the date of commencement when you started production or your business when you started. Then bank details you can put over here. Again, this you can update later on also. In case you have a saving account, then later on you get a current account, you can put the current account detail. Major activity of the unit you can select over here what you are into. Then there is something called as National Industries Classification or NIC code. So if you are manufacturing, some steel items, so then you can either search over here by using the keywords. So if you put steel in ingots, then this option will come. Otherwise, you have to do this search, NIC 2-digit, then 4-digit and 5-digit search. So in the 2-digit, you have to select 24. Then this 2-digit will come over here. Then again, the 4-digit will be 210. And finally, to find this activity which you are doing and you want to add it over here, you have to select 24103. And once it is selected over here, you have to add this, click on this button, then it will be added. Up to 10 activities you can add over here. And number of persons employed, self-explanatory, you have to put over here. And again, this is important and so a little bit confusing part. Investment in plant and machinery or equipment, and turnover. So this is the basis of classification, the criteria for classification into micro, small, or medium enterprises. So over here, this depreciated cost as on 31st March of the previous year, this is grayed out over here. Why this is grayed out over here? Because up over here in the IT returns, this particular entrepreneur have put yes over here. That is why it is automatically taken from the IT server. It will be taken. And if you put no over here, IT returns are not filed, then you have to self-declare the value over here. This will be open, this box, just like this box. This box will also be open and you have to put the figure, depreciate by yourself. But again, next financial year onwards, it will be compulsory and integrated with your this IT server. So automatically it will take. Once you file the return, then it will be updated. So you have done some investment, additional investment this financial year. It will be only reflected once you file the IT return. And this is the exclusion cost. So while considering the investment in plant and machinery, you have to exclude, various items. I have a presentation. In that I will tell you what you have to consider in the plant and machinery cost and what you have to exclude. So that cost you have to exclude over here. So your net investment will be computed from A minus B. So at present he has just filed it. That is why it is showing 0 over here. Later on, it will be verified with the IT server. Then that amount will be put in A, and his actual investment amount will come over here. Likewise, for turnover also, it will be taken from GST. If you are saying that you have not filed GST return, then this will be available for you to declare. And the export turnover has to be subtracted from your net turnover, because for MSME classification, only the turnover business done in India is considered net turnover. So these are other scheme. GEM portal is there, that is government e-marketplace. So all government departments, they have to procure from GEM. So you can, if product services you are offering and you are interested in government market, you have to upload, make an account, a seller account in this e-commerce portal, government e-marketplace. I'll show you that also. And then TREDS portal is there. This is for if you are supplying, you are participating in tender and supply to PSU or government. That time you can also get your work order uploaded on the TREDS portal, and then later on invoice through the TREDS portal. So in this, what happens in the TREDS portal, you have various banks also. So they will bid against the payment which you are to receive. So that is why there is trade receivables e-discounting system. So that you can get the payment from from banks, and then banks will take care of the payment from the PSUs or government buyer. So that is advantageous. And again, now TREDS is free of cost for GEM. If you are an authorized dealer, you have to upload the authorization certificate. If you are OEM, then you have to do the vendor assessment, which costs around 13,000-14,000, one-time vendor assessment. And rest of the charges are free. Then submit and get final OTP. You can opt for no also over here. If you want, you can opt for yes. You will be only sent communication regarding GEM and TREDS. And then submit and get final OTP. Then you will receive one window will pop up, and you will be assigned one acknowledgement number. You can note down that acknowledgement number, and then later on you can go over here, print Udyam certificate. And then once you click on this option, you have to key in your Udyam registration number, which is the acknowledgement number you received, and the mobile number. Verify this, and your certificate will be printed. So I hope this is clear. So once you do the process, then you will face some doubt. So if you have any doubts regarding this, then again you can open in this portal. We have also this champions gov.in. This is a champions portal for where you can go to this, register your grievance or make suggestion or seek guidance. Then select your detail and your name, address, fill in this, get OTP, and then box will open up where you can type in whatever problem you are facing. Then I think within 2 days, the reply you will get. So now let me go to the presentation. So now I'm sharing 3 contents. I want to close 2 of it. 3 applications. Stop sharing. Okay. Okay. Let me share again to the presentation. Okay. Sure. Okay. So I have told you about the changes in the MSME. So this is what MSME certificate looks like, Udyam registration. So this is the current MSME certificate, Udyam registration certificate. It has superseded all EM Part 1, Part 2, Udyog Aadhaar, SSI registrations. This is the only registration now. This is the definition of plant and machinery. So see, what should be excluded, when computing your plant and machinery component. So if you have tools, jigs, dies, bolts, spare parts for maintenance and consumables, so all those has to be excluded while calculating your plant and machinery. Installation of plant and machinery, that should be excluded. R&D equipment, pollution control equipment, they should be excluded. Generator sets, extra transformer installed, those should be excluded. And other costs incurred in procurement or installation of machinery, that should be excluded. Transportation charges and all these charges, storage tanks, firefighting equipments, so which are not directly, which are involved in the manufacturing process, that should be excluded from the plant and machinery. Also here, I would like to tell you about this Enterprise Development Center, which is at MSME Development Institute. So it is based on these 3 pillars, which is information dissemination, hand-holding and mentoring and facilitation. So provide these services basically, which are further subdivided into these services. Information dissemination, business as a career option, hand-holding mentoring, then entrepreneurship and skill development programs, DPR preparation, you offer services in that, credit linkages with banks, and various registration, GST services, market linkages, export facilitation, then enterprise clinic, which is nothing but if you are running a unit and become sick, to assist, to the unit to get out of sickness, to get additional equity infused in the enterprise. IPR facilitation, we provide technology transfer from CSIR and other institutes, R&D institutes. Startup facilitation, we provide. Ideation, incubation, we have various host institutions, they can help the idea into proof of concept and then into a commercial product. Then grievance redressal. So this is the GST facilitation. We have a GST cell, which provide GST registration, return filing, and also DPR. Yes, so this all thing we provide on a nominal basis. We have conducted various loan mela in association with banks, So to our EDC visitors. So this is a photo, with Honorable Minister of Industries and IT, Government of Telangana. He has presented Stand Up India loan. Through us, we bank have provided to women entrepreneurs, around 20 women entrepreneurs. So that is there. So we conduct various programs, and this on the right, these are the images, where we call bankers, about 8 to 10 bankers in each loan mela, and where entrepreneurs, they can dedicatedly, discuss their proposals with the banks. And so see, we conducted a drive in 2018, 10 party applications were considered, out of which 1181 loans were sanctioned from MSME. So loan mela we have conducted. So we have also signed an MOU with Telangana Industrial Health Clinic Limited. And so these are the major websites which you can take a copy of, screenshot of. Udyam registration, this is the MSME certificate. We also have a autonomous body, NSIC, which assists you in government tenders. They have got something called a single point registration scheme. If you do that, then you get EMD waived off. Otherwise also EMD waived off. But this NSIC is also giving this quality assessment certificate, so which is useful when participating in tender. Then CPSUs, central PSUs, what they procure. If you want to check that, you can go to this website, samban.msma.gov.in. Government marketplace is there, and then Champions portal is there. So this is our address, office address. You can note down this, take a screenshot or something. And if you have any queries, doubts, you require any assistance, then you can visit us, contact us. You can also go to Champions portal. So I hope this is sufficient. If anything else, about any doubt is there or anything is there, then you can ask me. Feel free to ask me questions. Anything regarding startup.
Sir, this Udyam registration and MSME registration both are similar?
Yes, both are.
Okay, thank you.
Any other doubt is there? Anybody is having any questions? So